big game tonight, Panthers. I know Drew is probably sick to his stomach. I know he posted something, I think, on one of his stories, I believe, or one of his social medias that he was like, "Yeah, it's over" or something like that. But the
You know,
Panthers dominated the Oilers in what game 4, 5-2 on Saturday. With that kind of performance, the Panthers are about to win the cup again. Edmonton getting dominated at the crib just to go on the road again.
I know.
Not good. But the pressure is on the Panthers, I think, to win it
oh Lord,
again
heaven.
because
So far, we got all the
Game
pressure
seven
on
is
the
in Edmonton
Thunder
this
and the
year,
Panthers, the two teams that are up 3 to
Oh
2.
my
That
God,
makes sense.
we got to cut this out. We got to cut
bro.
it.
I'm just saying, you do not want to go to game sevens.
Why not? They'll win. They did last year.
I'm just telling you, Edmonton, they got it at home this year. It ain't like the Panthers had
Well,
it
the
at
thing
home
about
last
these
year.
games is when Florida wins, 2 of their 3 wins have been blowouts. Edmonton has to scratch and claw for every win that they get. So Florida's been much more dominant in this series. And just being at home in this game, I got to give them the odds.
Yeah,
Look,
but
I've been
me as
saying
a
it. I've
me
been
as a
saying it.
sports fan, if I was a fan of a team, I wouldn't want to go to game 7. I
I've
would
been
want my
saying
team
it
to
the whole
close
time,
out.
bro. If a team is struggling to beat you in the 2 games that you win, if you're like really struggling to win that game, you're not winning that series, bro. That means you have to fight extra hard every single game, while the other team is just laughing at you and just making goals after goal. It's just it's gonna get tiring for them, especially in Florida. It's over, bro. It's over. No pressure on them. They're going home and they're going to play the Oilers. And I mean, it's just the environment's just going to be way too much. And I don't think that no, the pressure's on if it's game 7, yeah. But again, they can win that game, and they probably would. So I don't see no pressure. I disagree with that, but whatever.
I mean, they're gonna come out and play like they're at home, but like as a fan, like it ain't no pressure on the players. But as a fan, you feel like, okay, we want to win game 6. We want to win the cup now because if we go back to game 7, anything
Oilers not
happens in
putting up
game
more than
7, and
3.
I'd be sick if I lost in game 7.
Oilers not putting. I told y'all this on game 1. I remember telling you and Chris and Drew that if they go to game 7, the Oilers are not putting up more than 3 goals. They're not even putting up 3. You know why? Because the Panthers are going to shut them down and end it right then and there. It's not
So I'm
happening.
rooting
Because
for the
Sergei
Panthers.
Bobrovsky is one of the best goalies we've seen in a long time. Now, here's the thing. Florida has jumped to a 2-goal lead in 4 of the 5 Stanley Cup games so far, including the one they lost in game 2. One of the games that they lost in game 2. They jumped
didn't
to
they
a
jump out in
2-goal
front
lead
in
right
game
away.
1 also?
Yeah,
They were
in
up
4 of the
3-1.
5 Stanley Cup, in 4 of the 5 Stanley Cup games, they have jumped to a 2-goal lead. Every single game this series, this is how great this series has been, especially for someone just trying to get into hockey like myself and really starting to like see the vision, right? Every game has had a minimum of 7 goals. Every single game, minimum of 7. You don't usually see that on the NHL landscape too often. Like you'll see some games get up to like 8-10 goals, but this series, every single game has been 7 goals, and there's been one pretty solid goalie in Stuart Skinner. As much as my other friends who are super big into hockey really hate Stuart Skinner, but we've seen this very solid goalie in Stuart Skinner, and one of the best we've seen in a long time in Sergei Bobrovsky. Now, one guy I'm watching, Sam Bennett. The Sam Bennett resurgence needs to be studied. 25 goals this season in 76 games. In however many games in the Stanley Cup playoffs, he has 18 goals, including, I want to say, 5 in the finals. I want to say he's got 5. So
It's 5 or 6.
here's the thing. We're seeing a very star-studded team in Florida, led by guys like Brad Marchand, be carried by Sam Bennett, who's never had more than 30 goals in a single season as a center for both Florida and Calgary. We've not seen this is something that's kind of catching my eye, is that Sam Bennett, guys like Carter Verhaeghe, Seth Jones are the guys picking up the slack on this Florida team. They're very deep. We're talking about them like they're the Thunder of the NHL. They're a very, very deep and talented roster, and I just don't see them losing at home game 6.
Marchand is That trade, man.
Ooh, man.
That Marchand trade. I mean,
Highway robbery is what that was.
I know Boston right now is sick to
Woo.
they gut. I mean, they sick, bro.
Sick.
They
Throwing
are
up.
absolutely sick.
Throwing up.
Like to give him away and for him to go dominate the playoffs and then dominate the final, which he might be the MVP. That's sickening. That's like I don't even know what to call that.
You can't even describe it, can you? You know why? Because it's so stupid that they did that. Listen, Florida is going to. This is a dynasty we're witnessing right now, fellas. Okay, if they win this cup, this is a full-on dynasty that Florida. I don't think Florida's ever witnessed a dynasty. I mean, well, okay, the Heat, I guess, but in a sport outside of basketball, what can we think of that's a dynasty with besides this? I mean, this is something special that we're witnessing, and I'm full on. I've been full on a Panthers fan since I was like 17, 18, because there's no team up here, so I had to pick one. I thought, oh well, I'm going to Florida next week, so I'll pick Florida. So I did, and I've been with them the entire time. And I'm just saying here that this is a dynasty and this is greatness that we're witnessing, and we're not going to see something like this for a very long time, because I think things are going to start getting more competitive as money starts flowing into the NHL, which will allow more players to come in, a lot better players to come in on these crappy teams. This is something amazing that we're witnessing, and glad to be front of the line defending them with my life.
Man, I don't got no words for what I'm watching right now. I mean, his impact is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing,
his impact literally is probably like Siakam's with the Pacers. Like he came in and they instantly became great.
Better.
They became better, and Sam Bennett was there, and he wasn't getting. Well, I'm not gonna say he wasn't getting it done because he got it done last I think it was last year. So, but that goes to show you though. Sometimes these trade deadline moves they work out great. Like especially for Brewers fans can see what the Chicago Cubs did. I know how sick they were when they got a Aroldis Chapman and they won the chip. So it's like, I mean, sometimes these mid-season trades can turn into key pieces for you to win a title.
I mean, stray against the Brewers aside, I think this shows how that
was the first thing that came to mind.
There's regular season teams and there's teams that are built for fantastic regular seasons and there's teams that are built for playoff success. Florida is built for playoff success. Edmonton is built for playoff success. Teams like Winnipeg and Toronto are built for regular season success. And just this entire Stanley Cup playoffs has been an example of how different those can be, because we saw Winnipeg come this close to losing in the first round. And Toronto gets up 2-0 against Florida. A lot of people think that series is wrapped up already, considering they were one of the best teams all season. Florida comes all the way back and beats them in Game 7. And embarrasses them in Game 7.
Put a smile on my face.
So if you Toronto, how do you feel? The Maple Leafs fans, how do y'all feel that y'all was up? Like, what was it? What were they up 3-2? And they came and just dominated y'all in the rest of the series, and they just go win the cup.
What were they up? Yeah, they were definitely up 3-2, and then
they were down 3-2, I think, because we were talking about how they got embarrassed in both Game 5 and Game 7.
No, we were talking about. I think Toronto. We were saying Toronto was up 3-2, weren't they?
Yeah, Toronto was up 3-2.
Yeah, Toronto was up 3-2.
Then it was 3-3, and then 4-3.
It's like you're sitting here watching this Stanley Cup run by the Panthers, in which you were literally all one game away from moving.
That was the only team that I was afraid of, and Jalen was telling me that I shouldn't be whatsoever. And
I tried to tell y'all boys, bro, they collapsed.
That was the only team I was afraid of. I don't know why. They just looked insane to me the first 2 games, and I was like, dude, this is gonna be
I was like, I'm not buying it. Until they close it out, I believe it. And then they still got to win the next one. Yeah, so I'm not believing.
They wasn't making the finals. I mean, maybe
making the finals.
I don't know actually. If they played, if they played Carolina, I think
Carolina would have gotten that behind, bro. It's just that Florida found resurgence when they got in.
Stop. It would went to 6, and Maple would have won for sure. Maple versus Oilers would have broke the internet.
Edmonton would have definitely won this series then.
Oh yeah, but it would have been cool. A Canadian final would have been cool.
I don't think NHL would have wanted that. They would
No.
be like, "Oh, we want the American team in there too." You know, like we need to split the pie. You know,
Yeah. We need more
So-
Canada teams in other sports. I think there should be a football team in Canada. That'd be cool.